Today we're listed under the other fauna part. So I'm not going to talk about horses, I'm going to talk about seahorses. And so, yeah, so now how did the title come about? Horses in the Orient, you might wonder, right? Actually, seahorses are named because they look like horses. They have an equine-like appearance. You can see the snout and the horse's mouth, I would say, look very similar. And the Orient is basically used by the imperial powers to describe the East. And so that's why Penang, where I'm studying, is actually known as the Pearl of the Orient. So that's why the title Horses of the Orient here. And so what are seahorses? Well, seahorses are actually fish. Most people don't know this. They're bony fish with very unique morphological characteristics and life history traits. They have a prehensile tail, they have a long snout, and are carnivorous. And the males get pregnant instead of the females. I think most of you might know this. The females oviposit into the pouch, and when they're ready to give birth, the males give birth to live young. And so currently there's a debate in the number of species of seahorses, but according to fishbase.org, there are 54 species classified in the same genus Hippocampus, pygmies and normal seahorses as well. And the seahorses are usually caught as bycatch. Fishermen go out to catch like mackerel or other fish and end up getting seahorses over here in their bycatch. And also seahorses are mainly harvested for traditional Chinese medicine. The traditional Chinese believe that they can cure illnesses such as asthma, and it's also used for infertility. So products like these come about. And so where are they found at? Seahorses actually are found in a wide range of habitats, ranging from estuaries to seagrass beds down to the deep oceans. Hippocampus caloga has been found up to 30 meters, and I suspect a bit more. They are found all over the world with a high diversity in the in our region, in the Indo-Pacific region. Malaysia is home to 13 species of seahorse. The last time we checked, a recent study, Lim et al. Published in 2011. So a background to my studies in Penang, despite having known to host seahorses, in 1996, the goddess of seahorses, Vincent, came and did a survey in 1996, found that there are seahorses in Penang, but very little studies have been carried out. And so the last specimen collected on record was of a Hippocampus comes, a tiger-tailed seahorse, currently stored in the British Natural History Museum. And so my research is important because I'm working closely with the Penang Green Council, and we're trying to assess the number of seahorses or the seahorse species in Penang to inform them to make, they're actually a part of the Penang local government. They inform the local government to make environmentally oriented decisions. And so the information also used to fill in gaps in Save Our Seahorses, the NGO that is specifically working on seahorses and their marine habitats in Malaysia, as well as inform the iSeahorse.org database that if you were in Celine's talk earlier, she promoted. And also, it's important for future research in Penang Island. And so where is Penang, you might wonder? This is a map of peninsular Malaysia. Penang is located in the Straits of Malacca over here, and it actually consists of two parts. One is the mainland and the island. And so my study is only in the island of Penang. Most of my dive surveys are carried out in this small swath of land called the Penang National Park. Here you can see the borderline between Penang National Park and the rest of Penang. It is actually the smallest national park in the world. It's so small that even parts of the sea are gazetted as a national park. But sadly, like in many cases in Southeast Asia, there's high human activity in the seas of Penang Island. There are a lot of tourism, banana boats coming in, jet skis, as well as fishing is legal in Penang National Park. There's no no-take zone in the area, consisting of 5 different beaches. And my study is this part, the northern part of Penang National Park. So the objective of Penang Seahorse Survey, my honors thesis, is aims to identify and characterize possible seahorse hotspots in Penang National Park, and also determine the seahorse diversity, distribution, and relative abundance of waters in Penang Island. So only on the island, not the mainland part. So how I do this? First of all, by dive surveys. I dive along a fixed transect while collecting data, and this is at a shallow depth of 2 to 3 meters. So it's not really deep, but the visibility is pretty bad. So if there is bad visibility, we go on opportunistic surveys because we can't be planting our face at the sand, at the ground, trying to look for a transect all the time, right? And so once a seahorse is found, I ID the species and I take measurements. and I of course note what type of substrate they are hanging on to. So this is on the slate when I got lost because I was a novice diver. I got lost and they try to communicate with each other because you can't talk underwater, right? So this is how they communicate, and a lot of people ask me where I am, and this is a picture of how bad the visibility is. This is our transact, and I was up diving on Sunday, and we had barely one ruler, 15 centimeters of visibility, so we decided to call it off. And so from my dive surveys, we got quite, and this was a good day. We got some substrate data, some I think sea fans and gorgonias. Haven't ID'd them yet, just took samples, and also there's a hard coral as well as macroalgae. And from this, on our first survey, we found 10 individuals, seahorses, from 2 different species. A total active search time of 148 minutes per level. This is pretty good for seahorses because as I met Lindsay earlier, she said she takes 2.5 months to find 10 individuals, but us we found 10 in the span of 2.5 hours. So the other aspect of my research is I do fisher interviews. I go to ports and ask fishermen. I interview the respondents with what I call Form A, which asks them on how many hours they go out to fish, just a basic data, how long have they been fishing, and how many seahorses they catch. And then I would, if there are any dried samples, if they keep them at home or keep them at the ports, I would measure them just to get a base idea of what they catch and how big are their catches. As well as I will leave the fishermen who are very cooperative with a survey kit, a PSS survey kit consisting of Form B, which would record the seahorse data that they catch, and also my contact number. And I give them a small little ID kit where they can ID their own species, and also 15 cm rulers for scale when they take pictures next to the seahorse. And so post-interview, if seahorse is caught by the fisherman, they will give me a call because I've left my contact number, and I would go and visit the port because Penang is not a very big place, and I only have a limited number of ports. So it is viable to go and visit the ports to collect data from the fishermen. And from there, most of the time the seahorse is released, but sometimes the fisher call and I'm in a bad situation, I couldn't go directly. So in the length of my study, 1 or 2 seahorses might have suffocated because they're not put in the correct place, not given air. Okay, so these are the 14 ports that I survey, and I do 10 fishermen per port just to get a general idea. And it's very useful to note that the seahorse bycatch is independent of port location. So I have some cases where people people from here down to Tempoyak go all the way up to Teluk Bahang to get their fishes. And here Teluk Bahang and over here in there's a Batu Maung here. They have trawlers there. So these are the different types of fishing activities carried out in Penang Island. And so we found 4 different species of seahorse during the port surveys. This is a Hippocampus trimaclatus, or the tree-spotted seahorse, characterized by a hook-like facial spine, very, very common. Hippocampus scuda, of the common seahorse, most of in your respective countries might have Hippocampus scuda, characterized by their low coronet and their wide trunk. Hippocampus comes, or the tiger-tailed seahorse, they have a striped tail here and a pad cheek spine to over here, so it's quite distinct. And surprisingly, we found a Hippocampus monicae, or a Japanese seahorse. This is actually the second known location in Peninsular Malaysia, and I was very surprised to see Hippocampus monicae in Penang. Very small, you can see from the picture. And so, seahorse is caught as bycatch, and this is the bycatch analysis. I measured a total of 206 specimens in the 14 ports. There is a slight skew in the male to female ratio. There are more females caught at ports from the Hippocampus trimaclatus. Maybe we're not pretty sure why, but there are studies. Studies have also reported this in the south of Malaysia and in other parts of Southeast Asia. And so this is the breakdown of dried species measured. And on the right here, you can see the reports throughout the study. The reports where I go and collect live data. In the 6 months of my study, and of course a lot are from Hippocampus trimaclatus, tree-spotted seahorse. So I'm interviewed a total of 105 fishermen whose experience ranged in a span of 5 to 58 years. This I'll come back later to talk about, and they spend an average of 5 days a week, also dependent on the weather, right? Because they spend about 6.5 hours per day. This is an example of the nets and the gear used. Go down here is the pomfret net, and here is the long line fisheries. So local knowledge of seahorse. 92.5 fishermen reported catching seahorses. The other percent have never caught, have never seen seahorses, despite them, some of them having fished in the same area for 10 years span. So I'm not sure how that works. And average catch per year from my surveys, artisanal fishermen catch about 6 seahorses a year, while trawlers do a bit more, 20 seahorses a bit up and more a year, because they go out for longer periods of time. 78% of fishermen release their bycatch of seahorses, which is a good thing for conservation. And comparing bycatch from 10 years ago, most of the fishermen cite that there's an observed decrease in the number of seahorses caught, while the rest either say no change, or unsure, or there is an increase. And the main reason quoted for decrease is trawler encroachment, pollution, and coastal development. Trawler encroachment being that the big trawlers come inshore and fish in the areas where they're not supposed to. And this over here is the 3-layered prawn net that I mentioned earlier. They have a very small opening, so seahorse might be caught more often there because of that. So initial conclusions: the total of 4 seahorse species confirmed during the duration of study, and in Penang National Park, the seahorses are very associated to the Gorgonian sea fans. And seahorse diversity in Penang is greater than previously thought. And I would say there's a higher species in Penang National Park because of their more protected waters. And so there are a few conservation issues since this is a conservation conference. One of it is, of course, the trawler encroachment. In Malaysia, trawlers are only allowed to fish outside the 8 nautical mile ruling, but a lot of times fishermen have reported them coming in to the 1 nautical mile conservation zone, or 1 to 8 nautical mile. And also the trawler mesh sizes. In 1985, Malaysia enacted the mesh size to be more than 38 millimeters, but until today, 2015, 30 years later, it has still been a struggle to implement this. And also, Penang is a hotbed for tourism. There's a lot of coastal development, the rapid infrastructure and real estate development. Here you can see there's a seagrass bed. It's called the Middle Bank. It's the largest seagrass bed at the moment. The other one has been developed, and so it is threatened by coastal development. They want to build luxury homes there. So recommendations from my part is to fully protect the Penang National Park waters, protect identified or potential seahorse habitats like Gorgonian-related places, continue assessment of Penang seahorses, and seahorses are charismatic species, so they can be used as a mascot for awareness and marine conservation to public, as well as the fishermen. So I'd like to acknowledge my supervisors, my fishing survey volunteers, fishermen of Penang Island, dive survey volunteers, general donors from fishermen.com, and the ATBC for the generous contributions in bringing me here. And also the Net Geo Young Explorers Grant, Penang Green Council, and Department of National Parks for giving us a permit to carry out research in Penang National Park.